A little over 12 months ago, I released a video titled Jehovah's Witnesses Believe We Have 12 Months Left.
So the events unfolding around us are making clearer than ever that we're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days.
Well, it's been over 12 months. We're still here. That video came out mid-March 2020. So at that point, people in the US had just started taking the pandemic seriously, and we were mid-lockdown. This is the message they had to give to their people while the US was freaking out. Surprisingly, a message like this was probably oddly calming. Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to view the end of the world, which is what he's saying is about to happen here, as a good thing. There's a silver lining behind every mushroom cloud. They eagerly await the destruction because it means Armageddon is right around the corner. So what's the governing body saying now that we're 2 years past that last video and a full year past when they heavily implied we only had 12 months left? Let's take a look at the latest updates. Let's get into it. This next clip came out in early 2021, so over a year ago. The speaker is Garrett Loesch, one of the governing body members. Check it out.
We are certainly experiencing critical times, hard to deal with. These are the conditions we've been preaching about for years. In this update, let's review some of the prophecies being fulfilled right before our eyes and reflect on the timeliness of the November campaign publicizing God's kingdom. First, think about the sign Jesus gave his disciples. In Luke 21:11, Jesus said we would see food shortages and pestilences in one place after another. Well, we are now experiencing the fulfillment of this part of the sign in a very pronounced way.
That's pretty specific. He's saying we are now experiencing the sign of the prophecy. That's important. After this video and the first one I played about the last days of the last days came out, Jehovah's Witnesses all over social media were convinced the end would be here in the next 12 months. These videos didn't explicitly come out and say we have 12 months left, but almost every Jehovah's Witness I saw on social media was repeating that. So what's the governing body saying now? Things look a lot less bleak now than they did when these clips originally came out, especially concerning the pandemic. The idea that the world is going to end in the next few months like Jehovah's Witnesses believed, that idea is starting to seem more and more ridiculous as time goes on. And here's the interesting part. Even the leadership of Jehovah's Witnesses are starting to subtly acknowledge that. Check this clip out. It's a new governing body update called Remain Watchful for Peace and Security.
Well, we eagerly look forward to the fulfillment of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3, don't we? Just before Jehovah's Day begins, the nations will say, peace and security, and then sudden destruction will come upon the wicked. Notice verse 2. For you yourselves know very well that Jehovah's Day is coming exactly as a thief in the night. Jehovah's Day refers to the period that will start with the destruction of false religion and culminate in the war of Armageddon. The world will experience much more than just a surprise. Notice our prophecy here in verse 3. Whenever it is that they are saying peace and security, then sudden destruction is to be instantly on them, just like birth pains on a pregnant woman, and they will by no means escape.
I love that he quoted the thief in the night verse. We'll get to why that's so funny in a minute, but I want to point something out. Jehovah's Witnesses have a list of criteria that have to be met before Armageddon starts. Their beliefs about it are kind of convoluted, but I'll see if I can break it down. They believe there will be war, earthquakes, disease, food shortages, and all that stuff. When they see that appearing, they think it's a sign the end is here. But there's a problem. That stuff is always here. It always has been, and it always will be. Welcome to planet Earth. We've been dealing with war, pestilence, food shortages, and earthquakes since the dawn of time. It's almost like they're relying on media clickbait to make their case for them. Yeah, the media will always report on crazy stuff taking place in the world. That's like their job. So when the pandemic appeared, they took that as a sign that the end was much closer, and it led to them putting out the series of videos we just saw. When the end didn't come, they excused away their use of imminent language, like we're in in the last days of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days, by saying, oh yeah, we might have forgotten to mention there are other signs that we aren't seeing right now. Like we're supposed to expect a declaration of peace. Then they go even further by saying the end will come like a thief in the night. The funny thing here is that in the early 70s, they were doing the exact same thing. They started getting urgent, saying we need to get as many people baptized as quickly as possible because the end is here. They even had a saying back then, stay alive to 75. If you're on your deathbed, just make it one more day, one more week, one more year. If you can make it to 1975, you'll live forever. When their prophecy fell flat, they denied everything, went back and retroactively changed the wording in their old literature so it didn't seem like they really did make a prophecy, and told their members to burn all their old magazines. Unfortunately for them, nothing is truly gone as long as we have the internet.
Well, now, as Jehovah's Witnesses, as runners, even though some of us have become a little weary, it almost seems as though Jehovah has provided meat in due season, because he's held up before all of us a new goal, a new year, something to reach out for, and it just seems has given all of us so much more energy and power in this final burst of speed for the finish line. And that's the year 1975. As one brother put it, stay alive to 75.
After getting up there and convincing people the end would come by 1975, they came out and said, you fools, we told you it would come like a thief in the night. There are so many things the Bible says have to happen first, and none of it has happened. Why would you think such a thing? Before we continue, I wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring or my Etsy shop. I just started selling these signs on Etsy. If you want to keep Jehovah's Witnesses at bay and prevent them from knocking on your door, get one of these. This should deliver the message. Anyways, back to Jehovah's Witnesses. After getting up there and convincing people the end would come by 1975, they came out and said, you fools, we told you it would come like a thief in the night. People saw the hypocrisy and ridiculousness of it all, and they left. Massive numbers of Jehovah's Witnesses turned their backs on the organization after that. And guess what the governing body said to that? The Bible says the greater number will cool off in the end. The fact that people are leaving is another sign the end is right around the corner. They've been using this same playbook since day one. Whip people into a blood frenzy, scare them, make them think there's no time left, and when the clock runs up on their prophecy, act like they never made the prophecy in the first place. After the 1975 debacle, they learned better than to make specific prophecies from the stage. Now they gesture at it and say things like,
So the events unfolding around us are making clearer than ever that we're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days.
which seems like a specific prophecy, but if we're getting technical, it's not. That way it's easier to backtrack and they don't have to retroactively change the wording in their magazines again. But they want to make people think it's on its way. It increases something I like to call the enthusiasm factor. It's a factor that's measured in politics all the time. Think about the 2016 US presidential election, for example. There were far more Democrats than Republicans. It shouldn't have even been a contest, considering how the percentages are split up. But people weren't excited for Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump supporters, on the other hand, well, they would crawl over broken glass to vote for their guy. That's the enthusiasm factor. If your followers are loyal and devoted enough, you can get them to believe anything, do anything for you. And most importantly, you can get them to excuse away any mistake you make. So how do cults increase the enthusiasm factor? There are a few ways, but one of the most important ones is through the persecution complex. They make you feel like you're being persecuted by society, like you're an underdog. It creates a sense of camaraderie, brotherhood. If you can convince them that they're persecuted and donating to your cause is the only thing that will alleviate it, you have a recipe for control. Cults have been doing it this way since the beginning. And if you remember, Jehovah's Witnesses actually released this clip a few years back at one of their conventions. They're depicting the Great Tribulation, which is a period of time when the world bans religions and police are going door to door looking for Jehovah's Witnesses who are hiding in basements, staying loosely organized. They call it the bunker video.
When I think how far we are now into the
How's it out there? It's not good. It won't be long, maybe an hour.
Is Kevin with you?
He said he's not coming. That he doesn't want to have anything to do with us anymore.
How sad. Now, this far into the Great Tribulation.
They really wanted to make it real for people. They wanted to convince people that the government would turn against them and they'd have to hide. I mean, they've had these beliefs for a long time. This fear was way more justified during World War II, though still completely absurd to think that the world as a whole would achieve peace and then ban all religion. The scene they're depicting in this video is honestly borderline offensive. Look at the next clip.
Do you see anything? Do you see any witnesses? Where are they? Where are they? Check the basement. Check that door.
They've been preparing for the end to a weird degree for a long time, and it's only gotten worse in the past few years. You can even find Jehovah's Witness go bags for sale. The good Jehovah's Witness families even have Armageddon drills for their kids. What do you do when Armageddon starts? Jehovah's Witnesses believe the start of Armageddon will be marked with natural disasters, so they have people prepare go bags for when Armageddon inevitably strikes.
I need everybody to go get their go bags. Cass, can you grab mine too? Great, let's go grab those, let's go get that done, and let's meet back here.
Man, the power's out. The light switch isn't even working. I'm trying to get a hold of Daddy, but I can't get a hold of him. You know what? We haven't had an emergency drill since we lived at the last house, and we were in a different service group. I don't even know where to meet. Oh, the line's busy. Why is it so busy? Okay, he texted me. He said, get our go bags ready just in case we need them. That his car's blocked in and he has to walk home. He doesn't know how long it'll be. Okay, we're okay too. I don't know where the go bags are. Do you know where they are? Do you know where the go bags are?
Mine might be in my closet. I gotta go dig for it.
Okay, I'll look for mine too.
Okay, nice job. All right, now we need to text Rusty, let him know where we are, how we're doing, and that we're all safe.
You know, during the quake, my phone broke and it had all of my numbers in it.
No, that's okay. We have our list. And by the way, thank you for grabbing all the go bags. Do we have the list?
I do, and I found Woody's go bag also, so I grabbed that. And yep, here's the list.
Excellent.
They live in paranoia land 24/7. There are even websites that specialize in selling go bags to Jehovah's Witnesses. But this is what creates devoted followers who will follow the organization through anything. This is all an attempt to use something called fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's propaganda all the way down. Here's a quote from physics.smu.edu. They have a page on propaganda techniques. Under the fear section, it says, quote, "This technique is simple. Warn the audience that some disaster will overtake them if they don't do what's suggested. If this succeeds, the audience's attention will be deflected from details or merits of the proposed action and toward what can be done to reduce the fear. When coupled with incomplete information, uncertainty, and doubt, the fear technique can be very effective. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, also known as FUD, take advantage of general ignorance." End quote. All this stuff is designed to increase enthusiasm and loyalty, and it's a hallmark of cults. And Jehovah's Witnesses more specifically. As time goes on, as the group exploits this stuff in people more and more, they lose credibility with the outside world and gain credibility with a smaller and smaller group of increasingly extreme believers. Pushing it to a tipping point where more people are leaving than joining is an uphill battle, but it's something I think we can achieve with time. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching, guys.